All right, guys, remember what we were doing last time, right? But I want to explain to you these two concepts, which are represented here graphically, right? Sometimes you can be given a graph like this. There's what we call variable costs. I don't know whether I've explained to you. Variable costs are the cost that increases as per the sales, right? Variable cost increases as the sales increases, right? For example, the cost of buying your materials, the cost of labor, it increases along with the sales. Have I explained it here? Variable cost. Okay. So the cost that increases along with the sales volume or the production volume is what we call or refers to as variable costs, right? I'm going to give you set examples of variable costs. For example, you have raw materials, right? Raw materials that you are using for the production. If your sales volume goes up, that means you need more raw materials to be used to produce your product. So it goes along with this, right? That is why you have here, you see, when you look at this graph, you have fixed cost, right? Which remains the same. It doesn't change, irrespective of your production, irrespective of your sales volume. It doesn't change. So how do you represent it graphically? It's horizontal, right? This is the fixed cost. This one is what we call the fixed cost. This one is horizontal, right? Then you have the variable cost. You see the variable cost is represented by the yellow line. So you see now the variable cost increases as the sales increases. Right. Okay. When you look at this, then the sales, this is the line for the sales, right? As the sales is increasing gradually, the variable cost it increases along with it. Right. So when you see this graph now, you see the line of sales is higher than the variable cost, right? Which means the amount for sales must be higher than the variable cost. Right. So when you add the variable cost plus the fixed cost, it gives you the total cost. Does it make sense to you? The cost is made up of the variable cost and the fixed cost. So this is the fixed cost that remains the same, it remains constant, irrespective of the volume of sales or the volume of production. Now, let's look at typical examples of fixed cost and variable cost. So, examples of fixed cost: one, rent. Rent remains the same, irrespective of the volume of production, right? For example, you need to pay rent where you are doing your business, right? Rent is the same. It doesn't change. It's a cost to the business that remains the same. Then salaries. Salaries remains the same. If you are engage somebody and you are paying that person salary, irrespective of the volume of production or the volume of sales, you need to pay that person a fixed amount. Electricity, right? So when you say electricity, but here, uh, when you look at electricity, it's relative. Because if you are using the electricity to produce, it cannot be fixed because the volume of production, right? If your production volume increases, the consumption, whereby people have to be working overnight, what I call it, whereby people have to be working shift in the night, then you cannot classify electricity as a fixed cost unless it is something that, for example, if it is in a business premises, right, where you are using electricity, whether you sell, you don't sell, it's the same number, then you can uh, take electricity as an example of a fixed cost. So here, electricity is relative. It depends. Then you have the variable cost, which is the raw materials. Depends on what you are producing, if it is clothes, cotton, thread, or whatever. Then you have the direct labor, labor that is working on the production. So where you have a large volume of production, then you will have a higher volume or a higher number of labors that's going to be involved, right? Labor, you need to pay them wages. That is why we say wages is a variable cost. Wages is a variable cost and it's not a fixed cost. So these are the typical example. For example, you can say insurance. You know insurance. The premium that you pay for insurance is a fixed cost, right? So if they ask you in the exam to give examples of fixed cost and variable cost, so that is what you need to know, right? Remember last time we were working on how to get the gross profit, right? How to calculate the gross profit. I did a small calculation for you. So, how do you calculate the gross profit as well as the net profit? It starts from the sales, right? The income that have been generated as a result of sales. Then you less cost of sales, which is the variable cost, right? Then it will gives you the gross profit. Then from the gross profit, you less expenses. It could be fixed costs or any other expenses. Then you have the net profit. So this is how to calculate it. For example, you have something of this nature. Let's say the sales is 1,000, then you minus, less means minus, right? You minus the cost of sales, which is the variable cost. Then let's assume that the variable cost is 500. Then whatever that is left is the gross profit, right? Which is 500. My friend, I'm teaching you, please. No, girl, you are not here. Please out. Now you have the gross profit. Then you have to remove the fixed expenses, which could be the fixed cost, assuming that it's 200, then you have 200. So whatever left over is what we call the net profit. Right. So this is a typical example. They can ask you in the exam. Then in calculating the gross profit percentage, first of all, like we said, we need to learn how to calculate the gross profit. All right? It's very simple. You got the sales, right, that you generated. For example, let's say I'm selling bread, right? Listen to my typical example. I'm selling bread. How much am I buying the bread? Right? Let's say I'm buying the bread 5 rand. For example, I know you cannot buy bread 5 rand, right? Okay, let's say for argument's sake, it's 5 rand. Of course, that we call the cost price. The cost price, right? Now, I need to sell that bread. How much am I selling the bread? Let's say 8 rand. 8 rand is the selling price, right? Are you getting it? Okay. Now, for example, look at what I'm saying. Bread, right? Bread. Can you see? Is it clear? Okay, I'm selling bread, right? The cost price equals, let's say, 5 rand. The selling price, that is the amount I'm selling it, right? Selling price equals 8 rand for argument's sake, right? For example, if I'm selling 500 bread weekly, a week, right? Assuming sales per week equals 500 units. Do you understand what I'm trying to say now? So I want to calculate the sales, right? The gross profit and the net profit. Let's say fixed cost Let's say 200 rand equals 200 rand. Right. Now I need to calculate the sales just like we did here, right? Just like here. Right. Then the sales will be, you sure you are seeing this color properly? Okay. The sales is gonna be 500 times what is the selling price? 8 rand, right? What's gonna be the amount? Is it 4,000? Right. Then we need to less cost of sales. Less cost of sales. What's gonna be the cost of sales? 500 times what is the selling price? Huh? 8 rand. 8 rand. It's not 8 rand. The cost price 5 rand, which is what's gonna be the amount? What's gonna be the amount? 2,500. 2,500. Right? Then with this one, we need to work out the gross profit. Right? Guys, look, follow this thing. It's very tricky so that you understand it. Gross profit. Then minus it for me. 1,500. Right? Is that 1,500? Right? That is the gross profit. Right? Then we need to less what? The fixed cost or fixed expenses. Let's call it fixed expenses. When we say fixed expenses, these are the expenses that you incur that are the same, right? Month from month to month, they are the same. It doesn't change, right? It might not only be rent. All expenses that remains the same, month in, month out, no changes, is the same throughout. So here we say fixed cost or fixed expenses 200 rand, right? Then what we're gonna have, right? We're gonna have a net profit. Net profit. So this is 1,200, is 1,300, right? 1,300. So this is what we are talking about. Is it clear? Is it clear? Oh, I forgot that you are in a new venture. Sorry, don't worry. Right? I'm sorry for that. I thought you are offering entrepreneurship, right? Okay. So this is what we are saying, right? Does it make sense to you? Okay, for you that is just coming now, right? I don't want to disadvantage you. What we are trying to calculate is a gross profit and net profit, right? We start from sales, right? For example, like I said here, if I'm selling bread, right? Obviously, I'm buying the bread at a certain amount, right? I'm not going to sell the bread at the same price that I bought it. I need to put a markup. That introduces you to another language we call a markup. Markup. Mark, markup. Right? You need to put certain amount on top. Right? For example, if I bought my bread or if I'm buying my bread 5 rand, right? Then I'm selling it 8 rand. What is the markup? The markup is 3 rand. Do you understand what I mean? You can as well work out the markup percentage, right? Which is 3 over 5, 3 over 5 times 100 over 1, right? Markup percentage. percentage. Right. This cancel this 20. That means 60% markup. Is this one confusing you? Right? The page is we're on 70. Yeah, 70, 69, 70. Right. So this is how to calculate the markup. Right? This is how to calculate the markup. What is the time now? The break is finished. So now you go into another class. Okay. All right. Let's stop here.